The line weight setting has a very big influence on the final plot result. You can turn on line weights by clicking in the tab at the bottom of the status line and it'll turn to red. If we move to a layout showing the entrance here, this is the entrance, some steps through there, some paving through there. You can see that with line weight on, you can see that lines, the symbols and whatever will be drawn in a much heavier pen. If I take off the line weight setting, you can see it's really quite fine. So be aware of the setting for your line weight. Line weight display, not how it's plotted, but the display is controlled over here in the format, line weights, and you can see here we can adjust the display. I'm working here in the imperial units, so my base units are decimal feet, but I'm displaying here the line thickness in inches, and I can change this setting here and then apply it like so. What that will do is change, as I zoom in and out, it'll change the display of thickness. So it's a combination of watching your switch down through there, checking how you set line weights. In most instances in this drawing we're working on the default line weight setting. You could set line weights for individual layers, so you can come down here and make one layer here very thick. So it gets a little tricky. It's easier not to play terrible, just stick to a default, set the default to a reasonably low value and just see how you go from there when you plot. So if we plot this drawing now with line weights on, in the final PDF we'll see some line weight settings. And here's the view in Acrobat Reader, and you can see that as we zoom in, the line weights are being plotted. If we edit one of these symbols in this design, let's edit the block and select this sort of purpley coloured outer zone, you can see it's on a layer called Color Setup. So clearly, if we close the block editor and go back here, the purple surrounds of many of these symbols is controlled by the color setting on the, so let's go to layer, on the color setup layer. So let's see if we can find it. Color setup, here it is, and it's currently set at 201. If we change that, let's say to a green color, which might in fact be more appropriate, although I'm not much prior knowledge of this, I think to my mind, that gives you a little more, looks a little more realistic and a bit more like a landscape drawing. What I've done here, though, you'll notice that the outer zone there delineates the symbol that represents a large sort of upper canopy, and I'm not keen on that green outline there. So what I would do here is not do that. That's displaying the layout. Let's deactivate and go back to the model. What I'll do is dive in there, select that block, and right click and edit the block. And I'd be inclined to match the properties of the inner entities, which are set on a layer called trees, which has got a grayed out color associated with it. So let's modify match properties. We'll pick up that color and then we'll match properties in that way and close our block editor. Now I hope that when we move in here, yes, our upper canopy plant shows as a grayed out canopy. Now whether it's actually on top of the understory planting, I'm not sure. So let's go back to the model and we'll choose Tools, Draw Order and Bring to the Front, and we'll select that entity now. When we go back now, here our upper canopy planting should be on top of the understory planting, and I think it is. It runs across that line through there. There are ways of setting transparency in an upper story planting that will give you a little more definition, but can you see, because this is not a drawing that I'm familiar with and I didn't set it up, people do things differently. The way they handle colour can sometimes be a little tricky. It is possible to add some further definition to the presentation of your work by applying some shadowing. I can go gCADPlus, Shadow, and I can pick a number of entities that I want to apply some shadowing to. And you can see I'm just selecting a number. You may not select all, but you could. And now if I hit the Enter key, I'm asked for the shadow angle. I'll leave it at 45. Now I'm asked for a length of shadow. I'll just click and then drag away a small distance like so, and bingo, a new layer is created with a grayscale to give me some shadowing. And if we go back to our view of the entrance, you can see I've got more definition now to the symbols. So that's one way of just changing the layout. You'll notice the difference between these symbols over here that have had some shadowing applied and those over there that have not.